Well, hello. Thanks for coming back to check out another video. So, I have my basket of goodies in my lap. You know what that means. It is time to do an updated Shop My Stash for February. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, I'm filming this super early. Like, I think it's like the 19th or the 20th or something like that. So, I feel like I got a lot of good use out of my January items because like I filmed that video early too. A lot of things got good use. We're going to talk about some of the highlights in this, but I am ready to change out my makeup because now a lot of my year-long Project Pan videos have went up and have started. I can officially start using that makeup, and so I needed to change up the products to bring in stuff that would work better with what I have picked out. So I will leave down below in the description box my last Shop My Stash video just in case you're curious, as well as like all of my Project Pan introductions because obviously those are items that are like included in my like daily routine, like what I'm using. So I'm going to try not to make this video super long, but I thought it would be fun to get into like some products first that were from last month's video that were like highlights or like favorites. I got a lot of use out of them and I kind of want to show you guys. So the first one was the bronzer that I pulled in. This is from Juvia's Place. This was from their bronzed collection and I got the medium palette. So this top shade here was like my focus bronzer for the whole month. I probably used this 20 plus times, I would say. And I don't even think you can tell that there's like a dent in this. Like that's amazing. So it's a very tightly packed formula. I think there's like 32 grams of product like in total. So split between these two pans, you know. But yeah, I'm just amazed that like there's not even like a little bit of a dip in there. So I just wanted to like highlight that and show that off. Like that bronzer is going to be kicking around for a very long while. Alright, so I had pulled out a cream blush from ColourPop. This was in the shade Between the Sheets. And when I put this into my Shop My Stash, I did not have pan on it. But as you can see, I have now hit pan on this guy. I was really excited about this. This is a really pretty like just like light pinky kind of shade. So I am expecting to pull this back out in the springtime and get a lot of use out of it that way. Would love to finish this off and get it worked out of my collection, but you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. The next item is also a cream blush, but it's from Fenty Beauty. Now I've been using this one as a cream bronzer though, and I just wanted to show you guys like I don't have that much left. Like there's just a little bit of product hanging out in there. So I'm actually going to just keep this in until I finish it off because that would just be so exciting to be down a cream blush. Even though I'm currently using it as a cream bronzer, that's okay. It's not cheating. Alright, so two more items that were like highlights, like got a lot of use out of them. So I had my highlighter palette from Uden's Eye. And so I really feel like you can see a big difference in some of these pans now. I got the most use out of using the pink shade as a standalone shade or mixing it with the blue shade up here, like the shifty blue shade. I think you can even see like a dip starting to form in this corner of this pink shade. I've just absolutely fallen in love with this. If you were wondering what highlighter I was wearing in January through any of these videos, it was probably a combination of that pink and that blue. So pretty. It's taking everything in me to not to want to keep this out, specifically for the blue shade, just because I've fallen in love with it and loved mixing it with the pinky highlighter. But I'm going to be strong, put this back, like we need another highlighter to shine, you know. But yeah, I have greatly enjoyed this palette and look forward to pulling it back out later in the year so that I can maybe get some use out of this peachy shade and maybe try mixing it with this like more greeny kind of yellow gold shifty shade. Alright, so then the last highlight item to talk about was an eyeshadow palette that I had pulled out. So this is my Club Nebula palette, which was a collaboration palette done with Kaleidos and Angelica Nyqvist. So I just wanted to show you guys that I did actually end up hitting pan on that like green matte shade, the Queen of Blades. That was kind of exciting. There was a huge dip in that shadow when I brought this into my Shop My Stash, but I didn't know like how close to hitting pan on it I was. So that now makes for 2 pans of eyeshadow in this palette. And I still foresee myself getting a lot of use out of this palette because those topper shades in there, like I've told you before, I'm actually wearing that green Firefly in today's eye look with another palette that I'll show you when we get to that section. So that's it for the highlights. Okay, so I don't have that many products actually in this basket. So like I said, I'm going to go in the order that I would apply these to my face. And then if something is missing, like a category is missing, it's probably either one, I've kept it in from the previous Shop My Stash, or I have an item in my project pan, like year-long things that are going on that fit the need of that. So, and I really want to make these videos a little bit shorter and more streamlined. So we're just going to get into it. Even though I am working on a foundation currently, I do want to pull in my NYX Born to Glow foundation. I have mine in the shade Light. I'm a little bit nervous. This is my favorite foundation. I just ranked my foundations recently. I heard talks that they're discontinuing the concealer version of this. They better not be getting rid of my foundation. I will cry. But when I pick up my foundations and like, you know, kind of hold them and shake them, this one doesn't seem to have very much left in it. So I kind of just want to pull this into the rotation, use this one day, use the other one that I'm working on in a project the next day, and just flip back and forth between the two, and then maybe get this one worked out by the end of February. That would be nice. All right, so I do have a cream highlighter that I would like to bring in. This is from ColourPop. This is in the shade Monster. I do have pretty good pan on this. This is one of those like white based highlighters with like a pink flip to it. It's super pretty. I know my pan in here like kind of looks a bit crumbly and like gross, for lack of a better word. I was using a beauty blender, like a beauty sponge, to apply it, and so that's kind of why it looks a little bit gross and like disheveled, but it's not drying out or anything. I hope you can get like a pretty good swatch of that. I don't know. I'm really trying hard with the camera settings and with the ring light, and it's a process, and especially because, you know, we're on night shift, so I can't like rely on the natural light to help me out. But take my word for it, it does have like a really intense kind of pinky shift to it. Think like Cube from the Subculture palette, and I just think this will make a really fun like wintry kind of highlight, and probably get way more use out of it this time of year in the cooler months than I would in like the warmer months. Also, for cream products, I'm going to bring out my Natasha Denona Glam Face Palette. Now, this does technically reside like on my desk in this little organizer back here, so I went back and forth on if I should include it or not, but I'm going to include it simply because I want to give myself like the permission to use the cream blush and the cream highlighter specifically from in this palette. So I like that there's like the little plasticky bit that like sits on top of them to keep them apart from the powder eyeshadows. And the packaging's super reflective. I will swatch these out for you, but I absolutely love this cream blush. It is such a pretty, like, deeper, like, brownish red shade. And then the cream highlighter is really nice as well. So I am giving myself full permission to just play around and love on this year. Or love on this month. All right, so here is a swatch of these. I think if I could like cover my face too, maybe. I don't know. We're trying the best we can here. But anyway, there's the blush and the highlighter. I really love the blush more than the highlighter. The formula of the highlighter is very nice. It's just, I have so many golden tone highlighters that I'm like, I want to play with my colored ones. But I do really want to give myself permission to love on this blush and use it as much as I want to in the month of February. All right, let's get into some powder products. So I have a powder bronzer and a powder blush to show you. So the bronzer that I want to bring in is from Nabla. This is their Skin Bronzing Bronzer. I have mine in the shade Ambra, which is the lightest shade. I think you can tell I have a lot of good use on this. Like when this comes brand new, it's very, like it has like their brand name imprinted on the center, and it's got like this like almost textured looking pattern on it. So I have worn away a good bit of this. This is, I guess it feels like a powder to me, but it almost feels kind of like those gelée products that you'll see, or, you know, that you'll find. It's a really pretty shade of bronzer. I think this is my most cool tone bronzer that I have in my collection, and I would much rather prefer a cool tone bronzer to a warm tone bronzer. Eventually, I would love to get my collection down to where maybe this is just my only bronzer, like eventually, you know. So yeah, I'm just going to pull this in and use this. And there's not a lot of product in here. There's only 6.5 grams. So I'm honestly kind of curious about just like keeping this in my Shop My Stashes and low-key like panning it that way and seeing how long it takes to use up. Because yeah, this is my smallest bronzer. And I'm just curious, like price per use kind of thing. So I also have a powder blush compact that I want to bring in, even though I'm working on some blushes. I feel like the shade of this blush will help me in case, like, if I go ham with the other blushes, like helping to blend them out. So this is a Cover FX blush. This is in the shade Pink Dahlia. I will open this up for you guys so you can see it. So there is a matte side and a shimmer side to this. English is hard. I feel like I will probably get way more use just out of the matte side, if we're being honest. I don't know why, but like my tongue is just like, you are gonna stumble over all the words today, Haley. So the pink like shimmery side is really pretty, but it's just, I don't know, I guess it's the time of year maybe. It's just not my thing right now. But like I said, I feel like I'm going to get a lot of use out of that matte side of this. So yeah, that's going to be the powder blush that I'm going to bring in. So I'm also going to bring in my other like highlighter palette that I have. This was sweetly sent to me from Laura. And so this is the ABH Sugar Glow Kit. This is so pretty. Now, I thought when I was looking at this online before she sent it to me, I really thought my favorite shade would be Marshmallow up here. But my favorite shade is actually Starburst. And when I saw this palette online, I assumed that it would be the opposite. Like Marshmallow be my favorite and Starburst be like kind of my least favorite. But it's actually, yeah, flipped, so that's kind of exciting. Marshmallow is still really pretty, don't get me wrong. But it's just interesting that, like, it's totally different having it in person. So I know that I'm working on quite a few powdered highlighters this year with the hopes of finishing them off. And so you might be thinking, like, why do you want to bring in 4 highlighters to your stash? I just want to make sure I get good use out of things. And for me, a good use in a month would be like using the item 2 to 5 times and then putting it back. Like, I feel like that's a good rotation. That's kind of the standard that I've set for myself. So let me go ahead and swatch this out for you as well. So there they are, swatched out for you guys. From the top, it's Marshmallow, then Gumdrop, then Butterscotch, and then Starburst. Maybe if I bring it back here. I promise that I will keep trying to fool around with the settings and make this work for you guys, because I don't want to put out like crappy content, obviously. Like, I want it to be nice, and I really want like my swatches to be true to like a color representation. So it is frustrating, like in editing, it's kind of a tangent, but we always go on tangents. But yeah, just know that I am trying my best here with like the situation that we're in and trying to make this work and make it enjoyable for you guys. All right, let's talk about the 3 lip products that I want to bring into this Shop My Stash, and then we will end it with everybody's favorite, which is eyeshadow palettes. So I do have 3 in front of me. 1 a like liquid lipstick, and then 2 glosses. So the liquid lipstick I want to bring on is from Udenzai. It's in the shade Perfect Plum. I just really love the packaging on this, but this is a really pretty shade. It's very like vampy, and I got this in a mystery box from them, and I did not think that I would actually like this shade, but I have fallen in love with it. Now, I decluttered the other shade that I got, I don't even remember the name of it, to my cousin because she loves liquid lipsticks, but this one is a really pretty like plummy purple brown. These liquid lipsticks from them are, I don't know if that's exactly what they call them, but that's what they feel like. They dry down, they're almost really uncomfortable, but if you top them off with a gloss, they are much more comfortable. They wear nicely, they fade nicely. I don't have any complaints about them. I really enjoy them. So in the 2 glosses, I have one from Juvia's Place in the shade So Glazed. It's this really like interesting kind of pinky purple shifty gloss with like a clear base, and there's so much product in it. Like every time I take it out, it like kind of squirts out a little bit everywhere. So I don't know how much you'll be able to see like in a swatch of this, because like I said, it is a clear base, but I did swatch it out next to the liquid lipstick. So there's that. And then the last gloss that I want to bring in, this I got in the, I picked up the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb holiday set from this year, and it came with this like cream gloss formula that they have, and this is in the shade Candy Milk. This is really pretty. I have heard some people say that this is a more opaque gloss, and so topping it over like on a lip color doesn't really make sense because it's going to completely hide the lip color. So I might just use this as like a standalone product, but it is such a pretty like pinky kind of shade. So I thought I would bring these 3 in to help complement the other lip products that I'm panning and get a lot of good use out of them. Alright, so let's finish it off with a bang and talk about the eyeshadow palettes that I would like to bring in for February. So this first one that I'm waving around is from BH Cosmetics. This was part of their birthstone collection that they did in the year of 2021. So this is Amethyst for February. I will open this up for you guys. It is so pretty on the inside. It gives me all the like nice February lovey-dovey feels. I will swatch out like my favorite shade from each of these palettes just to keep it exciting. But my favorite shade would have to be this like icy blue shade called Rebel right here. So I will give you a swatch of that. It's, yeah, like icy blue is the perfect way to describe that. You know, I try to not blind you with the mirror. So I'll flip the palette around and then I'll hold it. But then when I turn it to show you a swatch, I end up blinding you with the mirror. So I apologize for that. But yeah, there's that shade swatched out from that palette. All right, so then the other 3 palettes that I want to bring out are my 3 MIDI Natasha Denona palettes. I like see them in my drawer and I'm like, oh, I want to use you so bad, but I have other things that I should probably use. I got a lot of use out of these when I purchased, well, minus the Love palette. I've gotten a lot of use out of the Zendo and the Retro palette since purchasing them. So it's one of those things, as weird as it sounds, like I just want to give myself permission to love on these. So since it's February and the month of love, let's do it. So the first one I will show you is the Retro palette. The outside packaging of these is super reflective. But this is what this guy looks like. I really just love this like cool toned berry kind of color story. I cannot get enough of this palette. It is just so fun to play around with. And every look that I do is just so interesting. I would have to say a favorite shade from in here would be this bottom one, Helio. So I will give you a swatch of this. This Retro palette does include like her cream to powder formula, and it's never done me dirty, you know? So there's that shade swatched out. All right, so then we will talk about the Zendo palette, which is actually what I'm wearing on my eyes today. I will show you the colors that I have on. And then, like I said, from the Club Nebula palette, I did top off the Firefly shade. That's why my lid is sparkly. If I didn't do that, this would have been an all matte look. And I have worn this as an all matte look, and I really do love it. So from the Zendo palette, I do have these last 3 shades on. So I started out with this bottom, which if I'm not mistaken is called Tranquil. No, it's called Zeal. And then I go in and kind of layer the 2 together because I like the effect of them, this darker green shade, Mantra. And then I will make kind of like a 2-toned crease, and I put Breath, which is this minty green, all over my lid and then blend it up into the crease. And then, like I said, topped it off with the Firefly shade. This was the first time topping it off with a shimmer shade. I really like the matte look that this gives me. So a lot of my use from this palette has been on this more like earthy, grungy side. So I do want to encourage myself to play more with this part of the palette this month. But yeah, my favorite shade would have to be this like minty green pastel shade, which I know, like I've been saying like this whole month, like, oh, I don't like pastels. But this shade, for whatever reason, is just so pretty and so fun to work with. And it's one of those cream to powder shades. And since it is so pastel, like I'm going to build it up a little bit in a swatch so that I make sure you guys can see it well. All right, so there it is. It's the 3rd shade. I don't know if you'll even be able to see it, which kind of makes me sad, but maybe you can tell like the mintiness of it on my eyes. It's just super pretty. I don't know. I just really love it. Okay. So then the last MIDI palette is the Love palette, which of course, like much like the Amethyst palette, like we kind of have to pull this one out, right? So this is what this one looks like on the inside. This one has gotten the least amount of use from me. I don't know. I think it's just, I like jumped on the hype of like getting this at half off and didn't really think about the color story and that I have these colors time and time again within my collection. So it's a little bit of a regret purchase, but I do love the Natasha Denona formula, so I'm not like mad about it in that way. It's a little bit harder to pick a favorite shade out of here, but I would probably go with this Giving shade right here. This is just one of the like, it's not like a cream to powder, it's just like a standard shimmer shade. It's almost like a peachy pink shimmer with like some gold particles in it. It's really pretty actually. So there it is swatched out on my hand. Maybe if we come back here, you can see all of them. But yeah, so that is it for my Shop My Stash. Sorry, this was a little bit all over the place. I'm still trying to get used to like filming my videos in this setup as opposed to the overhead style. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.